Backcourt press fans, what is going on? Who says that I can't do multiple videos every single day? I'm gonna try to upload 1 to 2 videos regarding the basketball or the NBA every single day until the new year. I don't know how hard this is going to be, if I'm going to be able to stay consistent, but that is a goal of mine now to upload every single day, minimum one time until January 1st, 2024. So, without further ado, you saw the podcast kind of style video that I just uploaded, but today I am going to be reacting to a Bleacher Report article titled "Which High-Profile Moves from 2023 NBA Offseason Will Backfire?" Hopefully you like this layout. I know it's just my face in the corner, and then obviously everything else around it, the article around it, but I'm going to try something new and see if this works out. So yeah, I love how they put Kristaps Porzingis as the title picture. Makes sense because the Boston Celtics made a couple of moves. So the 2023 NBA offseason brought its share of fireworks, from blockbuster trades to some wild free agent spending. We saw a number of contenders shake up their core and go all in for a title, while one rebuilding franchise looked determined to return to the postseason no matter the cost. Let's break down the 5 riskiest decisions from the summer and fall of 2023 and whether they will pay off or backfire for each team. Kind of expected this to be the first one for some reason, being how Bradley Beal and how the Phoenix Suns are looking for this upcoming season. Obviously, they traded Chris Paul and a couple firsts, I believe, seconds and a couple seconds for Bradley Beal. Yeah, there it is. Suns trade Bradley Beal, a 3-team trade with the Washington Wizards. Phoenix gives up Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, all those first-round pick swaps. Oh, wow. Did not realize that they gave up that many pick swaps. And all those second-round picks. Wow, crazy. Suns were a surprise landing spot for Bradley Beal, given that the team had sacrificed all of its future first-round picks for Kevin Durant. We applauded Phoenix for being aggressive and adding a third star to the mix, especially after Chris Paul's injury history. So with this trade, Bradley Beal is expected to run the point guard for the Phoenix Suns and let Devin Booker and Kevin Durant do what they do best, which is scoring the basketball. I don't hate it too much, actually. I think Bradley Beal is a good enough playmaker where he'll keep them in line for up until the playoffs. But my thing is, when playoffs come around, are these players going to be so ball dominant that they're not going to be able to mesh come playoff time, especially when we see teams recently winning, like the Bucks, who were dominated by one specific player, the Nuggets dominated by one specific player, the Warriors really dominated by one specific player. Like, this team has 2-star players. So I'm interested to see if Bradley Beal, what kind of role he's going to play for this Phoenix Suns team. Is he going to come in and try and be an offensive, scoring threat? Or is he going to come in and do his role being a playmaking point guard, be the ball handler and pick and rolls, dissect the defenses? We really haven't seen Bradley Beal do that too much in his career. So I'm interested to see how that works out. All the Suns have left now are some future seconds owed from other teams, which is insane to think that they don't even have their first round pick, I believe, till 2030 or 31. Phoenix has given up a lot for a championship, and if they don't get it, the media is going to rip them to shreds. I'm going to be honest. Especially since Chris Paul is kind of what they needed as their point guard. It's just his injury history was something that they wanted to get away from and bring in more talent. I'm interested to see how this trio works out, especially with the addition of Yusuf Nurkic, which, I could talk about a lot, but Celtics trade for and extend Kristaps Porzingis. This, to me, was a trade that I loved. I know a lot of people were worried about the fact that they were giving up, Marcus Smart. He was the big part of the deal, which is looked at as their culture guy. But I think that when you haven't won the championship, but you've gotten so close, you need to find what talent's going to fit, right? And you can bring in a 7'3" guy, which, they have these they had these interior defenders like Robert Williams, who was very unhealthy throughout the year, but then in the playoffs, he had a huge impact. But on the offensive side of the ball, you couldn't see him making an impact. You had Tatum, you had Brown, and that was kind of all they had offensively, except unless Grant Williams had a big game or Marcus Smart hit a couple of threes or Al Horford had to do something crazy, right? I like this. With Al Horford having turned 37 this past offseason, the addition of Porzingis reduces the veterans' big man workload. I completely agree. I think this is huge for him because Derek White looks like he's going to be starting at the 1. Brown, Tatum, Porzingis, Drew Holiday might even be in that, like, will probably start. I don't think Derek White's going to come off the bench. I think Al Horford will be the guy, which I think is huge for the Celtics and their championship run because Al Horford doesn't have to do a lot during the regular season for them to be a good regular season team. Come playoff time, he can still play his role and do it. I don't think that this is actually taking that much of a gamble. My biggest issue is that they don't have a backup right now for him. That's what surprises me. They didn't really, they kind of have Luke Cornett just kind of being the backup center, but they're going to have to find Porzingis's backup if they're going to like fully invest in Porzingis, because at the end of the day, he is an injury prone player. We have seen him have his fair share of injuries throughout his career. So I really think that if the Celtics are going to utilize him correctly, we're going to have to see a backup be brought in from like a Dwayne Dedmon, I believe is still a free agent. Someone like him gets brought into the Celtics. It reduces the workload for Al Horford during the regular season, even Porzingis, so he doesn't get like injured. Stuff like that is what. Oh boy, yeah, I expected to see this one on this article too. This is 3 of 5, I believe they give. Rockets give Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks $215 million. The annoying thing about this is that both players had bad years last year. Excuse me. Fred VanVleet had his worst shooting season of his career. Dylan Brooks, same thing, except Dylan Brooks has never really been that great of a shooter. Brooks' offensive estimated plus minus at negative 1.6, right? Behind players like James Wiseman, Gordon Dragic. That's all you need to know about Dylan Brooks last year. He was not good. Like at the end of the day, he really was not that good of a player for them. But you know, you had the choice to bring a James Harden guy in who was going to completely get rid of the progress you were making on Jalen Green. It would have completely gotten rid of Amen Thompson's progress. You know, it would have taken the ball to Alperen Sengun's hands, which I don't think these guys are going to do. Jabari Smith would probably be the guy that would benefit the most from playing next to a guy like James Harden. But you got to think about the other guys around him, right? Fred VanVleet is not going to get in the way of the young guards, of Amen, of Jalen Green. Dylan Brooks is not going to get in the way of the Tari Easons and Jabari Smiths, right? They're just going to come in and bring an identity to this team. They're going to bring a winning attitude and veteran leadership. And I think that this is something that not enough teams that are young have been doing recently. We see a lot of these younger teams just go fully young, right? They don't bring in this veteran leadership. But you talk to ex-NBA players, they will constantly tell you how impactful their veterans on their team were to their successful careers. We hear guys all the time being like, this guy showed me the ways. He helped me financially. He helped me with the pacing of the game and stuff. These young guys, like this Rockets team was playing AAU basketball last year under Steven Silas. They were told to come in and just ball and shoot the ball as much as they want, play turnover heavy, super fast paced offense. These two guys they brought in are not going to allow that to happen. They're both very smart defenders at the end of the day. They might not be the most efficient shooters, but that's not really what you need from veterans if you're the Rockets. You need someone to show these young players the ways of the NBA. So in reality, I've kind of like talked myself into liking this signing. Do I think that these players at the end of the day are worth $215 million? Hell to the no. Absolutely not. But I think that at the end of the day, these two guys can bring a presence that the Rockets wouldn't have had if they spent all this money on James Harden, or if they brought in a superstar player, especially since they have to hit that salary minimum. I think that these two guys can really bring a more impactful, like smart basketball and guide these young guys into winning basketball and teach them the ways as opposed to hindering their progression. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the Rockets. I don't think the Rockets will win like a lot of basketball games personally. I also could see Dylan Brooks being moved by the end of the contract. I don't think Fred VanVleet will, but I could see Dylan Brooks being moved by the end of his contract to a contending team at some point. But get your money. I can't blame him for doing it. So, Warrior swap Jordan for Poole for Chris Paul. Talked about this in the podcast, but I'll talk about it again right now. Last year, the Warriors, when Steph Curry was on the floor, was one of the best offenses in the NBA. One of the best teams in the NBA. The Warriors would constantly get a lead with Steph Curry. This happened a lot on the road, actually. And then Jordan Poole would come in for Steph Curry. And Steve Kerr mentioned this. And Draymond Green mentioned this, actually, I believe on the Old Man, the 3 podcast, how before Jordan Poole took this big leap, they had 2 different kinds of sets for their team, the Steph Curry minutes and the non-Steph Curry minutes. Because of how the progression of Jordan Poole ended up happening so fast and he ended up becoming such a good player, they just inserted Jordan Poole into the Steph Curry set and his role. It didn't work because Jordan Poole is too turnover heavy of a basketball player, and his handles are a little all over the place, and he doesn't have the same playmaking and gravity that Steph Curry does. So it kind of hindered what the offense did when Steph Curry wasn't on the floor. Not in Jordan Poole's fault, but that's just how Jordan Poole plays the game. We now replace those minutes with Chris Paul, who doesn't turn the ball over, can find your man, hit clutch shots when you need it, and he's not going to be in a position where he's starting or playing significant minutes on this team during the regular season where he's going to get injured. The Warriors struggled so much when Steph Curry wasn't on the floor last year. Now we brought Chris Paul in and said, hey, just don't lose the lead. I truly don't see this experiment with Chris Paul not working out. Will they win the championship? Probably not, right? We have teams that are better. We have the Bucks that are better. We have the Celtics that are better. We have the Nuggets that are better. We have the Lakers that are better. These teams are better on paper. But at the end of the day, the Warriors were either going full in with Jordan Poole and going for that youth movement, or we're still trying to get Steph Curry a ring. And at the end of the day, Steph Curry's done what he's done for this organization. And I think it's a really, really great trade for the Warriors. The part I don't get is this. Why did the Warriors have to give up picks for an aging Chris Paul? That's the part I don't understand. Giving up a 2030 first round pick and a second round pick just doesn't make sense. If I'm the Wizards, a Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, Ryan Rollins, Patrick Baldwin, done. They why did the Warriors have to give in picks? Let's see what they say. Well, this wasn't just a move to get Paul. Actually, more of a salary dump more than anything. True, Jordan Poole's contract was getting really bad. We were going to go over that luxury tax in the next couple of years. 4-year deal compared to Chris Paul's 1, which I like. Fitting the veteran point guard into a roster that previously hated him now becomes the Warriors' biggest challenge. I don't think Chris Paul's that kind of guy. I don't think he's going to hate this organization or not buy into the Warriors. We've won. We beat him. Let him come to the Warriors and say, what can I do to help you guys win? And that's what I think Chris Paul is going to do, because he's at the point in his career where Paul's ego could hurt Golden State, though I don't think so. I think at this point in his career, he knows where he is as a player, and he knows what he can bring. He also knows what Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green can bring. It's just like they said, right? Our starting lineup was in the 92nd percentile. Cleaning the Glass, great website. Putting Paul as a starter is going to make him happy. I think he's going to close games. I don't see him starting games personally. So we'll see what ends up happening, what Steve Kerr does. I do really hope that if Chris Paul comes off the bench, it doesn't become a problem, because there's no need for it to be. We're all trying to go for one goal, win a championship. And now we added you to the mix. Play your role, play it the best you can, which this role would fit perfectly for Chris Paul kind of player. And let's win ball games. That's what I'm saying if I'm Chris Paul, or if I'm Steve Kerr. And I think Chris Paul will, they think, backfire. This only works if Paul accepts a smaller role off the bench. At 38 years old, or 37, 38-year-old, I think he's going to do it. Believe, 5 of 5. Last one. Bucks go on for Damian Lillard. They better say, let's see, payoff. Yep, this is the biggest part of it, in my opinion, that Antetokounmpo should be more likely to sign extension. Obviously, we all know the trade. We saw Portland also getting DeAndre Ayton. They also flipped Jrue Holiday to the Celtics. I think the Celtics are the favorites out of the East, in my opinion, out of the two. But a Damian Lillard and Giannis, you get the chance to pair these two players that just fit perfectly together. You take the opportunity at the end of the day. A lot of people are saying that, I want to see if they talk about it here, actually. Losing Holiday is tough, but it also offers the franchise far more security. They didn't really talk about too much about the defensive side of the ball. I've seen a lot of people talking about how Jrue Holiday's loss on the defensive side of the ball is going to be huge for the Bucks, and that's why they might lose to a team like the Celtics. Although I agree with it to an extent, I think the defense is going to be worse. Perimeter defense is not that important when you have Giannis and Brook Lopez down low. We saw Rudy Gobert lead the Jazz to the number one defense in the NBA because he was able to defend the interior, right? Now, obviously, come playoff time, the Clippers found a way to expose it. When you have Giannis and Brook Lopez on top of Chris Middleton, who, if he is healthy, is an average to above average defender, the Damian Lillard, Marjon Beauchamp or Malik Beasley, whoever they decide to start next to him, is not going to make that much of an impact defensively, especially when you have this coming off on offense. 32, 5, 7, 56.4 effective field goal percentage. I mean, yeah, it was literally one of the best seasons of his career, if not the best. Putting him next to Giannis, especially in the pick and roll, is going to disrupt defenses so much. I also think, Giannis being able to Giannis has said all offseason, I will stay with Milwaukee if we're winning. They need to keep a Giannis Antetokounmpo around. They need to win ball games. Damian Lillard will help you win ball games at the end of the day. I just really hope Dame doesn't get injured and we don't see injuries happen. I want to see these guys compete at the highest level at their fullest strength. So we'll see. But to me, this is a clear, we're already the second best duo in the NBA. They said Holiday and Antetokounmpo. Well, they just got the top duo in the NBA. They fit their play styles. It's fantastic. Drew Holiday's defense is not going to matter until the Eastern Conference Finals when Dame plays against Drew Holiday. Then we'll see if this trade made sense. So I like it. This was a good article. I think all of these can pay off in certain ways. Like, for instance, it says Dylan Brooks, it'll backfire for Brooks, pay off for Fred VanVleet. I could see, I'm looking at more from a team perspective. I think it pays off for the Rockets. I think this move pays off for the Celtics because I think they get a ring out of it personally. I think this trade, because of the luxury tax and the ability of what Chris Paul can bring on paper, obviously we'll see if there's issues in the locker room, but on paper, I think this was a plus for the Warriors. And obviously, I think this is a plus for the Bucks. The only one I'm a little bit more skeptical of is this one, because if you don't win a ring and you have these three superstars, it doesn't look good. It does not look good for your organization. So yeah, that's what I got for today. Thank you guys for watching this. Thank you guys for watching the video. I had a blast doing this. I'm going to do a lot more of these like article reactions throughout the year. I think it's fun. Bleacher Report, ESPN, all of them are fun. So yeah, feel free to let me know what you think in the comments and what you would like. Which these moves do you think are going to benefit or hurt their organization? Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.